Good night, itchy eyes. Good night, sudden sneeze. Good night to your symptoms of allergies. Zysol is the allergy medicine you take before bed. It provides powerful relief while you rest your head. Not just all night, but all the next day. Zysol keeps working, keeping allergies at bay. And without those annoying symptoms disturbing your rest, you can wake up the next morning feeling your absolute best. Remember, be wise all, take Zysol. At night.
This is Cop Talk, talking crime, cases, and backing the blue. Now, here are your hosts, Captain Ed Mehmet and Detective Kevin Schroeder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cop Talk. My name is Kevin Schroeder, retired NYPD detective, and I'm here with my co-host, retired Captain of Police, Ed Mehmet.
Hello, WABC listeners.
Thanks, Ed. Today's guest is Yitzhak Almog. He's an Israeli police commander. Until recently, he served as Israeli police attaché to North America, and he's also served on the IACP, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and he was on the board of directors with them. Welcome, Yitzhak.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We'd like to start with, why don't you tell our audience your background, your career in law enforcement?
Well, I joined the force, the Israel National Police, back in 1984. Most of the time, because I can speak fluent Arabic, I deal with what we call counterterrorism investigation and intelligence. This is a very unique section that you have to be very, I would say, very curious and it's always challenged, because things and investigation and intelligence many times help you to prevent suicide bomber doing his way to kill people or any kind of terror attack. After many years of working in what we call the Jordan Samaria area, which is the behind the green line, what we say in Israel, of 67. The structure of the Israel National Police is we have 7 different districts. In each one of them, the commander of the district is a major general. So I worked also in a lot of different police stations. And then I would say, actually turning point, 2013, I've been appointed to be the head of the juvenile delinquency department at the headquarters of the Israel National Police in Jerusalem. I knew about juvenile and about delinquency in general, but to focus on this subject, and to learn so many things, especially in our generation, I was privileged to lead, to build and to create a new unit by the name Maor. Maor in Hebrew is light. And the reason I pick up this name of light is it's opposite to the website of Darknet, where he can do a lot of illegal activities. And I found out that it's not only in Israel, but when I was in the United States, everybody likes the idea, and I gave lectures all over about Maor, the strategy, and why it's became so popular. Actually, cyberbullying, sexual offenses, everything goes through the website. And we have to decide as a democratic society what is our approach against cyberbullying, which is not criminal activity by definition. For example, if a girl goes to the school and she's been insulted because they told her that she's ugly, she's fat, and so forth and so on, and she's coming back home crying. And sometimes, unfortunately, we had worse cases of children who commit suicide because what we call cyberbullying. So I did a very serious job in this matter for almost 2 years, and it was actually the first time it was the opportunity to present it to the Prime Minister and the government, the project that I'm leading. And actually, it's a lot. It's about budget and about decide that such a unit, almost 300 people work at the Maor now. But the first stone made by me, and I'm very proud of this project of the Maor. When I'm done with this, they offer me, actually, my wife wanted it very much. There is 16 attachés to the Israel National Police worldwide. In America, there is much more attachés in all over the world, but in Israel, we have 16. The most senior used to sit in New York, and then they remove it to the Israel Embassy in Washington, D.C. for the last, I would think, 16 years. And I found myself at the United States with my family, with, bringing all my experience and knowledge and learn about your fantastic, fabulous country, and made a lot of friends. And part of it, I was blessed to be the first international police officer from Israel or from any other country to be on the board of the IACP, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police. This is a very unique position that I was privileged to have, and of course to meet a lot of high senior officers from all over the world. At least 4 or 5 times a year we got together. One of them, it's the annual event. This year, it's going to take place in San Diego, and I'm invited to the inauguration of the new president. So I'm planning to come in October once again to San Diego, especially for this.
Yeah, by the way, we might meet you there in San Diego.
Well, let's book a dinner.
Okay.
That would be great. That would be great.
We will talk about this, how to build relationship between law enforcement and what I did. And there is now, for example, every year, they have a president. Every year it's a new president. So I established during my time, during my role over there, that once a year there is a presidential tour to Israel. So the ICP president with I would say some more executive from the executive and other, they are coming here, and I'm leading them in Israel, doing the meetings, even after my retirement. So we are like a family now. Therefore, the new president asked me and put my name on the list to be one of the VIPs to come to honor him in San Diego on this event of inauguration to be the new ICP president. And I think it's a huge achievement, and it's, of course, honor for me.
I want to ask you a question about the protests.
I'm not a politician, but I will try to make it as simple as I can. If you take Israel and divide it to two, it's very similar to Republicans and Democrats in the United States. Some of them are more traditional people, I would say Republican, and some of them are more liberal people, which is the Democrats. Very similar. It's different size, but very similar. The Supreme Court in Israel have 15 judges. Each one of them is respectable, but they are all of them are professional appointment, not presidential one. The system in Israel, so if human rights or any other issue is a public to be discussed at the Supreme Court. So if the government decide that they, something that maybe will offend minorities, the Supreme Court can change the decision of the government. So the main question is the right balance between the government and independence court, because the independence court can actually almost change each decision of the government. Well, they are not doing this, they are not interfering, but the line is very delicate. So people, if you are the prime minister and you want to roll business, or if you are the minister of health or education or public safety, you want to take your own decision. You want to decide who is the guy who's going to be your CEO to run your office. Makes sense. But people can apply to court and to say, well, this guy is not 100% kosher because this or any other reason. And the Supreme Court can decide that this guy is not kosher enough to be the CEO. So the minister says, I am the minister. You are just a judge. You stay in your place. Therefore, I'm trying to describe it, shortly, but this is the big issue. Who is stronger and who got more rights? Now, people who says, the government now says, we got Benjamin Netanyahu and the parties together. They have 64 mandates out of 120. So they are the majority and they can lead the policy. They want to decide things. They want to give budget the way they want. They want to do things that they promised to the audience, to the public before they've been elected, and so forth and so on. And they are saying, you can't block us with the court anymore. You can't threat us and everything. We want to run the government. We want to run the business. We want to run the life here in Israel.
But how does that affect the police in Israel?
Okay, the big problem. Yeah.
But I have two things I want to ask you quickly. You said that the Supreme Court judges are not appointed by the Prime Minister. How are they appointed? Here in the United States, the president appoints the Supreme Court for life. They have a lifetime appointment. How are they appointed in Israel? Are they elected?
Okay, so in Israel, they have a special committee with delegations from the Minister of Justice, from the public, from the lawyers. There is the Association of the Lawyers, Attorneys Association, and 2 politicians. Altogether are 9. From the 9, they should have a majority when they vote for to appoint a Supreme Court or any other judge.
Okay, so they're not elected they're neither elected by the population nor are they appointed by the Prime Minister. Okay,
no,
so
they get the mandate from, some of them say, so here the new government says this is a corruption. This is not fair because they are always have those deals between them. I will vote for you, you will vote for me, and so forth and so on, and they don't like the idea. But the people in Israel are afraid that if the Prime Minister and the coalition will decide about the Supreme Court, it will be a really corruption, and we are on the way for instead of democracy to a dictatorship. Okay, because only in dictatories they say, so listen, there is a joke about here, wherever you have 2 Jews, it's at least 4 opinion, at least. So that's the way it is. What I'm trying to
getting back to the police role. This is what the big thing is. The protests naturally involve the police.
Yes,
this is what we'd like to focus in on.
Yes. So it's a very delicate and fragile situation in one way. If you stick to the fact, nobody gets hurt. We are 29 weeks of demonstration every day. And by having those huge protests and riots, I would say riots as well, because some of them, they are doing escalation from time to time. If it's not enough and the government is still trying to create the law that they don't like, they protest. It started with 1,000 people. Now it's 250,000 people, 250,000 people come gathering together in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, other places. Now they go to the airport. It's this high season. People want to fly. They block. You miss your flight. What about this lady who want to give birth and ambulance is blocking with those flights? And so you can imagine life goes on. There is a problem. So they are losing in a way a bit of empathy and sympathy by the way they are doing because they are blocking highway. Now, you are not supposed to block highway. I can't imagine. I lived in Washington, D.C., and they have the belt highway around Washington. You can't block the belt. Nobody will let you to block it, even if it's a democracy. Nobody will let you to block it for hours. This is what people expect from the police, to make sure that the way will be open for the public because they need the highway. So basically, the conflict is getting worse from day to day, but we have to understand this is the only stable democracy in the area of the Middle East, because I'm not sure that in any other country from our neighbors, they were allowed to protest 29 weeks, at least twice a week, and to block half of the country.
So they demonstrate.
Nobody get killed. Nobody get shot. Nothing like this happened. There were a few arrests, yes. Few people get arrested and they get released after 24 hours or even less. But nothing. So this is say about our democracy. I'm proud to be in a country that you can protest freedom of speech and say what you think. Even the fact that they are protesting for the last 29 weeks and nothing, thanks God, happened so far, nothing seriously, no casualties, no injuries, maybe one or two, but nothing very serious. As a chief of police, I can tell you one thing. It's a challenge. You have to be not only right, you have to be clever, and you have to be not a politician, but you have to understand. Sometimes it's better to give the people to protest and to block the highway for 15 minutes or 20 minutes and not to go with horses and to break heads or with water, or, sometimes you have to let it go, even for an hour. Of course, you will be criticized in this way or the other. The police is always in the middle. But we get paid for taking the right decision. That's what I teach my cadet for many years when I was constructor and when I was structure at the police academy. They pay you for taking the right decision or to take decisions. Sometimes it can be wrong, but take a decision and make all the consideration how to protect life. I think that the balances is part of our tools, and you always have to do to balance your decision. Sometimes I say it's going to cost maybe public safety got to do with human rights, but human rights not replacing, it's not one against each other. The freedom of speech and protest is very important, but also public safety is important.
What you described is the way the police in New York City have handled these protests. Like, I worked in Manhattan for many years, and we would let the people take over the streets and scream and yell for an hour or so rather than arrest everybody. And eventually they would wear themselves out and then they go home.
Well, you see, if it works in New York, it should work in Tel Aviv. So.
The New York City police are used to that kind of information. But I think Kevin has some questions for you.
Sure.
I just want to touch on, everything you're speaking about, Isaac. How do you feel the Israeli police force, as well as Israeli security forces, are dealing with the situation? What's your feeling?
I think they are under stress because we are not used to such, I would say, such a process for so long. We do have them, riots and demonstration about the subject once or twice, not for almost 6 months every week, and few times a week. So if you're asking the police officer on ground, some of them feel uncomfortable at all because before they are a police officer, they are citizen. Some of them believes in illegal reforms that should happen, and some of them against it, just the same. So they have to leave their feelings and their beliefs outside and to keep being police officer and professional police and to follow the orders.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom: The Dark Ages. Available May 15th on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC. Pre-order now.
Rated M for mature.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, Onabotulinum Toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
One of the things that I found most interesting, I've been to Israel about 10 times. First time was in 1980. Now over there, you'll have these security agencies. You have the Mossad, and you have
Yes.
Shin Bet, you have
Yes.
the police. And I believe the Mossad would be the equivalent of the CIA here in the United States. And I believe the Shin Bet would be the equivalent of the FBI here in the United States. Am I right in that assessment?
That's correct. Yes, that's the equivalent. When I was the police attaché in the United States, so I had connection with the CIA, is the Mossad, like you say. The Israel National Police and the Shin Bet are equivalent to the FBI. So I used to work a lot with the FBI, sharing knowledge and information and best best practicing and delegation, professional teams with the FBI. I've been to Quantico many times. I went to their headquarters many times in Washington, D.C., and they came to Israel. The relationship, or by the law, I would say the relationship or the legal position in Israel between the Israel National Police and the Shin Bet is based. The Shin Bet got responsibility to bring intelligence and to prevent terror. But they are not dealing with the investigation by the law to build the file, the record, and to take it to court. To indict somebody, this is the police and the prosecution work. So there is kind of separation between the goal of the Shin Bet and the goal of the Israel National Police. You know, if you go back 1949 or 1948 to David Ben-Gurion, who was the first prime minister, he says that most of the people in Israel probably read about this. He says about the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, the army, is the security of the state of Israel, and the Israel National Police is the the dignity of the state of Israel. Kind of separation, like those people have to work domestically and to serve the people, and the army have to protect the borders. So if you say the Shin Bet, I work very close with them. We are doing sharing a lot of information together, a lot of activities together. Special units of the police and the Shin Bet always full cooperation, 24/7, happen daily. But the officially goal of the Shin Bet is to prevent counterterrorism before it's happened. And if something happened, it's the police job to collect the evidence and to indict the people.
What about the relationship with the Mossad? Is there any?
Only yes. Well, we have, but it's much more open now. But I would say until 20 years ago, it was Mossad is like the CIA. Can you tell me if there is any close relationship between NYPD to the CIA?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
The CIA is very tight-lipped.
But we have, because especially when you are a police attaché, so you deal with things together with them. But I would say that the Mossad is different goals at all, and his activity is much more confidential, and maybe it should stay this way. But when it's necessary, I can give you also some from the history. For example, if you remember Adolf Eichmann, who was
yes, I remember.
You remember the story. So the Mossad went and bring him over from Argentina. And then they create a unit with the Israel National Police of investigation, testimonies, collecting evidence, and indict him. Here you go. So there is a cooperation when it's necessary. And maybe to be undercover here or there or for help, mutual assistance, yes, it's happened. But different identity at all.
What about the border police? Are they part of the army or part of the police?
So in Israel, like I said, we have 7 districts and the border police. The border police are part of the Israel National Police. It's like semi-army. They have to do policeman course as well.
Do they start as police or do they come from the military into the police?
They started the military, but they started the military of the border police. So there is even in the army, when you are 18, And I know it's different in the United States, but in Israel, guys, when you are 18, it's mandatory. You have to go to do your service for 3 years. If you are a boy, for a girl, it's 2 years. So they can volunteer from the very beginning of the 18 to the border police to be qualified over there, and then to continue. Some of them continue as a career at the Israel National Police.
Now, what about how has technology affected police work? What is the impact on enhancing public safety? I know that when I was there in 1980, and I was there, I think, in 1984, the Israeli police or the Israeli government, they had terrific technology.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you should come now. You should come now and see. Well, they call us, I don't know if you're familiar, they call us the startup nation because there is a lot of technology. So we use it a lot at the Israel National. For example, I will give you just one example. Some of them we will be able to see together at the ICP, if you guys coming. There is Israeli companies that are going to present their technology. Face recognition, for example. If you are as a chief of police in New York City and you are running a festival in one of the stadiums, and there is 100,000 or 200,000 people who comes to see a rock star, and you got intelligence from the NYPD that this guy or the other is coming and maybe he's a suicide bomber who can come. If you have his face on data, so the Israelis new invention that I was shocked. Even if he's covering his head, even if he's putting a beard, even if just a bit of his face from a camera, side camera, will tell you, hey, this is your man. Be aware. This is one of the things. There is a lot of other. We have a lot of technology. Actually, I think technology is taking over too much in a way. Everything got to do with technology, and very, very sophisticated, very, very clever. Some of them are very nice. I can show you, I saw a few robots. One of them is coming this year to San Diego. Unbelievable. It's not only robots who save lives. He can climb stairs. He can negotiate in different language. And if it's necessary, the Glock pistol is coming and he's shooting the guy before he will shoot other innocents.
I think I've seen that on YouTube. Is that the one where they knock it down and it comes back up and they shoot it?
Yes, yes. So it's very nice, and it's all in Israeli invention are very popular. Did you guys know that when you're driving your car and using Waze?
Yes, we know it's Israeli.
Even the flash drive of the computer, we call it disk on key. The flash drive, it's in Israeli. We have so many inventions. We make blind people virtual see, and so many others. We are very proud of it. And people in Israel are afraid that people who invest money from all over the world will stop invest money, and it will affect the economy, because if they will change, the regime in a way, like what's Benjamin Netanyahu and the government trying to do, people say that it might affect the economy as well. But we will see in a few weeks. I will be much more clever, and I will be happy to talk to you once again and tell you if we are good or no.
Kevin?
Yes, Isaac, that brings me to my next question. What do you think are the main factors behind Israel's success in counterterrorism?
When you are talking about the police, the difference between the Israeli police and other police, it's what we call varsity police officers. So when you join the police forces in Israel, they don't teach you how just, the law and how to book people and how to deal with drug dealers and thieves and robbery and traffic. They teach you also about counterterrorism. Physical trainings, and not less important, is that's what I was trying to do during many years, is to teach people to identify suspect in counterterrorism from the way they look, the way they dress, the way they speak, the way they breathe, the way they sweat. The knowledge of all those signs is very, very important. So if you're asking me, the way we deal with counterterrorism is in two things. One of them is the awareness and the tools. Now there is also technological tools that we give the police officer to use. And the second one, which is very important, and unfortunately, it's after so many years that we lost life of people, we found about something very, very, I would say, effective, unique, and I gave few lectures in the United States about this. We call it the Unified Command. For example, if something happened in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, so the chief of this area, even if he is just, let's say, a colonel, okay? And even he is the boss. The meaning of he is the boss is that all the other emergency services have to obey to his orders. Now, if you are taking from a guy from the fire department, he will look for his sergeant to get orders. No, you have to listen to those. Or unified command. Everything is under one head of a one man. Even if the commissioner is coming, he is not going to be involved by taking other decision. We found out that once it's defined who is the boss of this scene, and we don't change the games, it makes life easier. We drill them a lot. If you're asking me tactically, we do a lot of drill. We drill situations of terror attack, different kind of them, in the public places, in hotels, in streets, restaurants, and so. And we found out that once there is only one boss, and he's everybody, I mean the medical forces, the fire department, the police officers, and more, even the municipality people, they follow his orders, it makes life easier because everybody knows what he should do.
That concept is called unity of command.
Yes.
Unity of command is one person is responsible for everything.
That's correct, sir. Exactly.
One more question, and then I'll turn it over to Kevin to finalize this great interview. You've lectured in the past on less than lethal police tactics. Can you quickly tell us about that?
So, like in most of the democratic countries, the last option is to use weapon or to use
deadly force.
Deadly force.
Right.
We actually using a lot of technology and things that are familiar all over the world. I think in Manhattan and other places, you use horses, you use police officers in order to do your job. But when are we using, and this is something very unique in Israel, the non-lethal, like you say, is very important for us. And we are trying not to do so. And unbelievable, because when you are 18, you have to go to the army. So we are using, this is very powerful things in Israel. We're using volunteers. So the people in Israel, after they are, when they became a civilian, after they arrive to the age of 21, they are actually just a civilian like everybody else. After doing their duty in the army, a lot of them are joining the Israeli National Police as volunteers. So if you go to each police station on Friday night, during Shabbat, during Saturday, you would see in each police car 1 or 2 sworn police and about 4 or 5 volunteers. We train them and we qualify them when it's necessary to shoot and when it's mandatory to shoot and when not. But the people of Israel, even without being at the police, this is unbelievable. They do the differences between criminal activity and terror activity. If somebody walking on the street, civilian, before the police arrive, even before the police, and we endorse it and encourage it because it saves lives. People, I saw many cases of people who were waiting for the bus on the station, pregnant woman, old lady, young boy, get butchered by a terror activity. A guy who coming with a knife or an axe says, Allahu Akbar, and start stabbing them. So it's take even a minute, even 1 minute, it's a long time. He can kill more people in 1 minute. So the people, the pedestrian, the civilian, are really engaging fast, and they are shooting with no doubt, getting rid of it. So when you ask them, so I came, he says, yes, this was He says, this is human life. This is a terror activity. We have to help the police. It will take you 40 seconds or 2 minutes to arrive. In 2 minutes, he can kill more children or pregnant ladies. So the people, they are engaged. They are ready to engage and to do a police work, even if they are not a police officer. This is very unique, and we trust them. And you know what? We got not less than 45,000 volunteers. And this is and I'm very proud of it, because my son, I retired from the police. Now I'm volunteering at the police. And my son, when he's 30, he saw his father. So when you are in the age of 16, you got the right to start with this. So he also want to be volunteer and to help the people and to help the police. It's not only for the police, it's also for other emergency services. But those people who are licensed with a pistol, they are, they're involved, save many lives. So basically, we are trying to do as a police officer all the activities not to use shooting or any, like you say, not deadly weapon or not a non-lethal, like you say. But of course, when we do the differences, when somebody is coming with an exit, so we don't have any other options. Because those people who decide to commit suicide, if it's a suicide bomber, then you have to take his decision and to shoot him before he will kill other people.
And I love that Israeli term, you've eliminated them.
Yes, exactly. That's
Kevin, over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Captain. Isaac, is there an age limit for retirement, a retirement requirement at a certain age? What is that?
Age of the police to retire? Yes. Okay, so in America, it's after 20 years, you can actually, I think in America, in most of the places, but in Israel, you join the police and it depends on your rank. Sometimes they encourage you in the age of 50. If you are a high officer, they will give you an option. But most of it, if it's not for medical reasons, then you have to do something like 25 years at least. Most of the people does more, but it shouldn't be more higher than 57. Lately, some of the people who are high ranking, they are over the 60s and they are still there as chiefs of police. But mandatory, the age of 57 is the limit. You have to retire in this age if you are a police officer. You can collect every year of service 2%. And the maximum percent for your retirement will be 76%. So if you take to the consideration 3 years of mandatory service at the army, it's 6%, okay? Each one is 2%. And then you add to this 35 years of service, most of the people would return. Now, most of the people are retiring at around the age of 50.
Yeah, in NYPD, it's 63 years old is the mandatory retirement age, 63, which is young.
So the mandatory is 57 in Israel, but lately, like I say, you can ask to extend it for more, and you can get another. It depends what is your occupation,
right?
What is your rank, how necessary it is. But mandatory is 57. Again, let's go to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court says a few years ago that people after 57, if they are in a good condition, good health, and they are necessary, they can continue with the contract to work. But the maximum percentage of retirement is 76.
Oh, 76. That's good. That's fair. But like I said, NYPD is only 63. And that's unfortunate because 63 is young, and there's a lot. NYPD is losing a lot of experience. Guys moving on at 63. One last question, Isaac. What advice would you give law enforcement leaders who want to make a strong positive impact? What advice would you give?
So I would say that we all have the same goal. I would say that all over the world, because we are sharing the same values, Israel and America, NYPD and the Israel National Police, and I'm looking always forward to make fruitful discussion with them. They are coming here. We are the good guys, and we are trying to take the bad guys to put them behind bar. So it's the same goal all over. I don't have any special recommendation to say, only one thing, that I would say the fundamental people and the radical people from all over the world are trying, to raise their head once again. And we have to be aware. And when it's got to do public safety between human rights, we have to do that. The balance always should go, first of all, to save life. All the rest can stay a bit. Saving life, this is much, much higher, in my opinion, more than everything else.
We agree, Isaac. I've never been to Israel. I hope someday to come to Israel.
If you come to Israel, you're most welcome to. I will be happy to meet you and to host you.
Thank you. And next time you're in New York, let Ed and I know.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Isaac Almog, thank you so much. You've been a great guest. You've been very informative what's going on in Israel. And stay safe. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And for everyone who enjoyed our show today, please subscribe. And you could also follow us on Twitter at Top Talk WABC. That's at Top Talk WABC. Thank you. Until next time, be safe out there.